3, 2, 1.
Well, welcome once again to the Legion of Reason Diversion. I am your host, the Supreme Reverend Dr. Randy Tyson, and we are joined today by our friend Tyler Lagere from our friend. That's so you think you're a skeptic podcast, and he joins us to talk a bit about his podcast and help us with discussing a number of recent events, including a prediction for the date of World War III, which, by the way, that prediction ends tomorrow. Quebec Bill 62, which requires faces to be uncovered for those receiving any public services at all, including bus rides. Laura Penny believes the clear and present danger to free speech on college campuses is a figment of the far right's collective imagination. A British judge has ruled that gender segregation in an Islamic school is discriminatory. In Catholic Watch, Pope Francis turns comedian when he says, and I kid you not, putting God first doesn't mean avoiding reality. Yeah, boy. And finally, tomorrow is the start of this year's flu shot season, and it promises to be a doozy, so get vaccinated. Okay. Welcome, Tyler. Just before we get started, I almost forgot again. I just can't allow myself to forget this because it's too important. On November the 3rd, I will be in Saskatoon. I'll be making an appearance like Our Lady Fatima, and I will be representing atheism in I hate this term, a multi-faith panel discussion. When it includes an atheist, I don't know, there's no way to do that. It's at the University of Saskatchewan campus at 7 o'clock, 7 to 10. 7 to 10, holy mackerel, I don't have that much material. It's at the Health Sciences building, room 1150. So if you're in the vicinity, come watch me walk into the lion's den.
I've actually represented, what they called it was secular humanism at two of those panels here at the University of Calgary and Mount Royal. What's it called? Something for Change?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the people that are putting it on, it's a university, or not, it's a Christian organization.
Power to Change. Yeah, and they used to be, what were they called before that?
Oh, I don't know.
Campus for Christ or something like Crusade.
Crusade for Christ? Those guys. Oh, really?
Yeah. But, both those panels were fun.
I'm wondering if you've found that a bit too militant a name.
Well, yeah, I think that's why they were branded, was because people, thought they were a bunch of crazy fundies, which I don't know, kind of.
Not kind of. They are.
We went for a beer afterward and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's all good.
Well, the guy that's putting it on, he seems nice enough.
Yeah.
Kind enough to invite somebody who is proud not to have faith, because I don't believe in having, beliefs on the basis of what you're using to believe in.
Yeah, I guess my most vivid memory of that whole transaction was the guy who represented Christianity was going on about how he was fallen and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, why? Like I even said something like, it makes me so sad to hear you berate himself like this, right? I'm fallen, I'm a sinner, blah, blah, blah. And I said, why can't you, instead of saying you're fallen, why can't you say I have potential to realize, rather than, like this whole stick almost, right?
They're not aware of how they sound,
Yeah.
What the import of what they're saying is. They don't think about it that far.
Yeah. And this was quite a young man who I believe was, interested in starting a family. I thought, oh my goodness, what an awful message to, say to your children. You're fallen and you're a sinner and your only salvation is, heaven or hell, as opposed to, oh, I'm a person that has, potential to be realized, and I, my life has meaning and purpose. It was just like, it really made me sad to hear it.
Well, it's exactly as Hitchens said. Hitchens said, You're born sick and you're commanded to be well.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the evil of that whole doctrine.
Yeah, they
anyway,
they give you a fake disease and then say, "Hey, I've got the cure. Just follow me."
Yeah, exactly. They make up a disease just so that they can sell you a cure.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tyler, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, it's good to be here. We've had you on our show, So You Think You're a Skeptic, and Left at the Valley as well with Kevin Francis.
Is Kevin joining us tonight or no?
No, I don't think so. Just kind of, it's Sunday, my day off. I got to work early tomorrow morning. So, but yeah, do you want me to? Pardon me?
Tell us about the podcast that you started. How long did you start it?
Like the day before my birthday. So my birthday is July 4th. I got drunk and bored and decided to, hey, let's do a Facebook Live video and argue with some people. And we put up a video saying, you know, we're skeptics. Challenge us on anything, like any topic. And we probably covered 20 different topics. My idea was I liked the atheist experience, but they only talked about one topic, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to be outnumbered, drunk out of my head, and not know what topic's going to come up. And it was just started out as kind of, you know, a fun thing. And then next thing you know, we had 5,000 people watch an episode of me drinking beer in the car.
That's how did you get
Drinking beer in the car?
Yeah, in a car. Yeah. Well, I'm not.
I hope you didn't have the keys on you or, you know, anything like that would incriminate you.
I'm completely blind, so I sit in the driver's seat.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense.
Makes it nice and legal, so. But it's good because we're very approachable, you know what I mean? We're like the non-professional trash version of the atheist experience, but we cover so many different topics, and that's just what I like to do, you know, have variety and that sort of thing. And you guys do that too, right? Like you guys cover lots of different topics.
Yeah, we started out on religion, then we kind of got onto the...
Hey, one of our first ones was anti-vaxxers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that one means the most to me because it actually endangers my kids. You know, creationists and stuff are really stupid, and that's fine. No. But they're not risking my kid's life at school.
Yeah, I agree. Your kids can't get vaccinated? Or vaccinized? Well, I made up a new word.
No,
vaccinated.
They can and they are, but being vaccinated doesn't mean that you're immune to it, especially if you're outnumbered, right? So we don't we haven't reached herd immunity out here. I think we're at like 82% or something.
Oh wow, okay.
So it depends on what we're talking about. I mean, the flu is very low. In Alberta, it was last year 25%. That's it.
Yeah,
they only have vaccine to vaccinate 35% of Alberta's population.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think it's measles and like the MMR and polio and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I mean that's kind of what I want to do is challenge people. I probably won't change the minds of a lot of the people that I'm debating, but the people watching, that's how I learned. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about the audience, really.
Yeah, because that's how I learned. So now I kind of want to pass it on to everybody else, and I like real world discussions. I don't do debate format where you talk for 5 minutes and then I talk for 5 minutes. That doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Prepare
have a
people
conversation.
And my wife's family is all young earth Christian creationists.
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. We get along really well, but it's interesting. I tell you, I'm in Abbotsford, right? So it's one of the Bible belts of Canada. I know you guys are in like basically Texas.
Texas North, especially out here in Red Deer.
Yeah, you guys got like creationist museums and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? Growing up in Calgary, I thought that atheism was just like the norm.
Yeah.
Because,
you have a bobble, Christine.
Totally. But I mean, you know, I did grow up in a big city and got exposed to a lot of people, you know, especially through the public school system, my daughter going there, me going there, university. And, you know, I just took for granted that most people around me were atheists, and I learned that's not the case.
I just got called closed-minded at work again like a week ago. So
yeah.
And I didn't say anything.
It's the new agey people like to say you're closed-minded quite a bit, hey?
Yeah, well, and same with these guys.
Tell them that no, you're not closed-minded. You just don't want your brains falling out.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, well, I was in front of my boss, so I just like, yeah, whatever. I'm just like, yeah, I know. I love it when everybody lets me in on the conversation around here, is what I said. So I don't usually even bother talking. Because, like, one time I just remarked, oh, because I was changing my password, and I usually do, like, 6555 at the end, and so I almost did 666, and I said, oh, dear, I better not do the 666, and then somebody else pipes up, oh, but that's the perfect number for you. And I'm just like,
Yeah, people don't bring it up to me at all. I'm surrounded by Christians, and I'm very, very, very loud about it. So
That's
people
cool.
just stay away from me.
Did you start? How did you get your start into disbelief?
You know what? I just never really cared at all. I mean, I went blind from a bomb when I was 13 years old, and then I kind of became a deist, I guess you might call it. Like the Neil Donald Walsh Conversations with God books, which is new age quackery stuff. But my brother introduced me to Michael Shermer, the Believing Brain, and the list of logical fallacies in one day, and
Wow.
it was traumatic. I lost like 100 beliefs in 24 hours.
Wow.
oh,
Yeah, I was really into Graham Hancock and like Jesse Ventura, and
Oh, wait.
I had that special knowledge that nobody else knew.
Jesse Ventura is not a stupid person. He's very intelligent, but he believes weird things.
Yeah, oh for sure, and you'll see that with people in Mensa believe weird things as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Being intelligent is not necessarily an inoculation against bad beliefs.
In fact, it can be quite the opposite. It can make you, kind of double down, right?
Make it harder.
Cognitive dissonance.
They find ways to rationalize their belief.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to believe stuff that's true. That's what's important to me, because I felt pretty stupid wasting, dozens and dozens of hours getting into and I thought about it. I'm like, man, I repeated this bullshit to so many people.
It's interesting you bring up the logical fallacies book, because I think there's so many people that call themselves skeptic that don't know their logical fallacies, and I think it's so important to know them.
Well, that's how I stopped believing in God. I was like, well, God of the gaps, what's that? Oh crap, I can't believe in God anymore, because everything I believed was based on that and personal incredulity.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I see the affirming the consequent everywhere inside of skepticism. It's rampant, that one.
Yeah, I think we talked about that on the show that I did with you. Yeah, I was really, really drunk, so I had to watch it again the next day and remember what the hell it was about.
It was totally sober.
If I have to deal with that level of stupid, I'm gonna be hammered.
Oh.
And yet you get how did you get 5,000 people viewing your stuff? I mean,
that was just the 9/11 episode that we did, which wasn't even like the best episode. We did an interview with Ethan Siegel, that Big Bang cosmologist.
Okay, that'd be cool.
I think we got just over 4,000. So I mean, it's just funny being drunk out of my head and I'm explaining quantum physics and complicated things, right? It's just weird.
Yeah, I'd love to actually talk to them. I'll have to get the contact information. I know you asked me about Jerry Coyne. I can give you his publicist's email.
Yeah, no, Francis sent me an email for him, and I messaged him on Facebook. I don't know if he'll get it, but yeah, I really want to talk to him about evolutionary psychology. So,
I want to get Gad Sad on for that. We keep trying.
I just like to offend people, so. People want to be famous because people like them. I don't. I want to be famous because people hate me.
Infamous.
There you go.
This is the proper word, yeah.
I already feel infamous at work, but how do you explain to people you got to work with that 666 isn't perfect for you because you don't even, I'm a humanist. I'm not a devil worshiper.
Don't believe in the devil. Yeah.
I love
it's
666. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. It's funny how many people think you're a Satanist if you're an atheist. Let's say.
Yeah, if you believe in something else, you must be a Satanist. Really? People don't say that about Buddhists. But they say that about humanists.
But the thing is, most Satanists are atheists. They're just trying to yank the chain of Christians.
The Church of Satan, they're atheists. And the Temple of Satan, they're all atheists, right?
I'm still not a Satanist, so there.
I learned kind of, well, not recently, but in the past few years, that you know, people that have birthdays that have 3 6s is them. I'm making up words again. 3 6s in them are you know, like they get looked at like they're sketchy or something like that, right? And and I'm one of those, but yeah, I've never encountered any such bad shit. But my dentist has 4 in his birthday, and I'm so jealous, right?
Oh.
4.
Well,
super devil.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's usually
the extra 6.
It's usually atheists, like kind of on one side, especially in like Facebook groups and stuff, and then the believers on the other side. And then I come in, and then I start asking like, who believes in ghosts? And then the atheists just tear each other apart. It's great.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't mean you're a skeptic, right? It just means you got one question right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I tell you, it's being a skeptic. Even some people. No, don't get me started.
Then you get into the social justice stuff, and then it really gets sketchy.
The cult of social justice. I mean, social justice used to mean real things.
Yeah, that's just it. We need to kind of reclaim the words almost, right? Because, yeah.
I want to reclaim the word problematic, because 9 out of 10 times social justice people don't even use it correctly in a sentence.
Yeah.
That's what drives me nuts.
Yeah, it confused me. I had no idea what the hell was going on. I was like, social justice warrior? We fight for social justice? That's awesome.
Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, it is. And we should all be striving for that. But what, you know, like I have a very big difference of opinion on, you know, for example, defending women in societies that are forced to wear, you know, veil, or that, or even, you know, defending American women and this war on reproductive control, right? But when it comes to manspreading and this kind of crap, no, I'm sorry, that's just no, that's not social justice.
Aggressions is
ridiculous.
People just like getting offended. That's what I learned about.
Yeah.
You're inventing new ways to do it. I mean, it's a cottage industry. Mm-hmm. Coming up with new words all the time. It's hard to keep up.
Well,
I'm lost.
Yeah, we did that regressive left episode with you on Left at the Valley, and I was like, well, I'm left wing. What, like politically? I was like, what the hell? And I had no idea what we were talking about. I was like, oh, okay.
But we're talking about those people that want to shut down free speech and want to, I don't know, they want to be on. I think that these people want to be the oppressors. They're in their world where social justice wins. They are the oppressors. That's why they work so hard at this, because they're like, it's like a kid getting a spanking. What do you mean that hurts? It doesn't hurt me a bit. I mean, that's the person spanking, right? You know, that they have no idea how onerous and how oppressive their world will be. I mean, they are the thought police. I mean, Steve Shives in particular, of course.
And what's her name? Christy Winters.
Christy Winters, yeah.
I don't know these people.
Neither do I. But the thing is, it's so ironic when they're like, "You have to shut up, but I don't."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I posted today. Shut up and listen is not equality; it is supremacy. That's what it's about.
And it's so rude.
Yeah. That's for true. Yeah.
I understand their thought process. Like, they don't want people to be able to say like really horrible, like racist things, but you can't shut them up. The only thing you can do is debate them and fight them back with free speech itself.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It has to go both ways, right?
Yeah.
Like punching Nazis. Okay, if you can punch Nazis, then they can punch you. No, we're not the bad ones.
Yeah,
that's so ridiculous anyway, because what do these little punks think that they're actually gonna like do any good by punching a Nazi? Seriously, if Nazis have an uprising, you need to call in the military.
Well, what? Yeah.
The police need to do that.
You know,
they shouldn't be handcuffed.
And don't martyr the Nazis, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You're just giving them even more ammo.
Yeah.
There's that saying, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but something like, I really disagree with what you're saying, but I will fight to defend your right to say it.
Yeah.
Defended the death. That who was that? Was that Thomas Paine?
I don't remember, but I remember my mom saying that to me when I was quite young, and I got it then, you know.
Yeah, like
Well,
I think I sent you guys that link today where we've got
yes.
people saying horrible things about transgender people, and it just infuriates me. But they should still have the right to say it. I just want to debate them all at the same time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't even know if I want to bother, but I certainly want to point and laugh at them and mock them,
And we're
marginalize
allowed to do that too.
We're all allowed to do. We can't do unless they speak out.
I just hate it when I have to waste my time defending the speech
Of a Nazi.
I can't stand. Their ideas, I can't stand it. But why do I have to waste that time? I shouldn't have to. I should be using the time more constructively to actually go and engage the speech that I don't agree with.
Yeah, I get the thought process though. Like, you're a horrible person, so you should have to shut up, and I'm not a horrible person, so I should be able to talk. But it has to go both ways.
That makes them a horrible person.
Well, just, you know, like justifying free speech makes you a defender of Nazism or something like that, and that's just like the level of rhetoric is just unbelievable. Like, words have no meanings anymore, you know.
I got called an enabler because I defended the right of. I'm a free speech absolutist, and
yeah, me too.
I got called an enabler because of that, and I'm like, well, I'm sorry that you think that you can use the machinations of the state to do your job for you, you know, instead of actually getting up and speaking for yourself. I mean, if you're too lazy to do that, you shouldn't expect the state to do it for you.
Yeah, like, I can't stand Holocaust deniers and young Earth creationists, but I don't think it should be against the law, you know, and they have tried to do that with Holocaust deniers anyways.
Yeah, the Keekster case was the seminal.
Was that in Alberta? I think that was Alberta, right?
It was Alberta.
Yeah.
Well, I think they should draw the line at teaching children in their classroom hate.
Well, you shouldn't be able to teach any bullshit in the classroom.
Yeah.
That was just outside of Red Deer. Like, I want to say Ponoka. Was it Ponoka? Okay, yeah.
It was. I don't think it was Ponoka, but it was pretty close, something like that. And there's a lot of people around here now.
Something that starts with a V, if I'm not mistaken. Not Vega.
Yeah, not Vulcan, but I forget exactly where. Thing is, I was a facilitator at Academy of Learning for a while, and this lady was going off about how the Jews were given a chance to give back all the money they stole and all this other stuff, and I just had to take a deep breath and leave the room.
You didn't punch her?
Well, that's
not
like
my student, no.
About 9/11, right?
But she was older than me too.
Mm.
This guy poisoned the mind of a generation of people in that town.
Wow.
Which is the unfortunate outcome.
I thought some of them actually got to go to a trip to see the sites in Germany to expose those children to reality. At least one cohort, I guess, of kids.
One class out of the
exactly.
Yeah, out of the generation, like, it matters now.
You just have to have standards in school, and you know, same thing with like alternative medicine. It just should be, you have to prove that it's true. You just have to prove that it's true, and that's fine. I don't care what people say privately. Keep it out of our schools, and they'll learn it that way and teach skepticism in school. Like, this is how pseudoscience works. They come up with a conclusion and then follow it.
I'm not certain that that was permitted in the curriculum to begin with. It's just that he got caught. Like, I don't think, you know, nobody would teach Holocaust denialism. You know, that just isn't in the curriculum, right?
But the thing is, you tell the kids that you're going to hear different things outside, but this is the truth. You're going to brainwash them. It was Eckville, Alberta. He was born in Vulcan.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it was very close by, so.
I'm going to interrupt and say that we have somebody in the chat, and it's Bunny, and she says Tyler is the best. And then she also said Steve Shives is an embarrassment to atheism and the left and to feminism. Can't agree with you more there. Wow.
I have. Is that the guy that Eli? Is that the guy that Eli Bosnick wrote about, or no?
I don't know. He's basically like, most recently created a shitstorm because some faction of SJWs that I think was led by him and Christy Winters, these YouTubers, tried to get certain speakers shut down from the Mythos conference.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah.
The Milwaukee thing, yeah.
That was outrageous, and they didn't even go first to the organizers. They went straight to the venue, the people that
And the speakers.
venue. Yeah,
Some of the other speakers.
did they? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it was St. Andrews. Yeah. I mean,
I don't understand why you want to shut these people up. Like I see it in Facebook groups too. Like they kick people out. I'm like, no. I don't want to shut you up. Just come here and I'll debate all three of you at once.
Yeah. So Tyler, Bunny says that she's Tyler's friend Lucy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Lucy Morgan. She was actually running all the calls and stuff when
cool.
we did the show with Randy there, because we're way too wasted to do anything.
Did you actually do that from the car?
Yeah. It's weird, and Kevin just loves the car. I'm like, hey, we can go to a studio or something. He's like, no, I want to do the car.
It's definitely different.
Whatever works.
I had fun.
Yeah, it's weird. That's why it's funny. I mean, it's a blind guy drinking beer, and in the one video, I had a pellet gun that looks real, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and then I got a picture of me sitting on Kevin Francis's Harley Davidson, which looks like I'm drinking
a gun. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that picture.
Try to be as weird as possible. And I just got a job and I move furniture for a living. I deliver furniture. The blind guy. Yeah, I know. Too weird, right?
So forgive me if I'm encroaching too personally, but you went blind when you were 13, right?
Yeah, you can't be too personal with me. I'm brutally honest to the point that I might make you uncomfortable.
I doubt that.
And I like say that was a bomb?
Yeah, I blew a Drano bomb up in my face in my backyard when I was 13, so I lost my left eye completely and I'm blind in the other one.
So how did you cope? How did you learn to, I guess, like what was the compensatory, I guess, things that kicked in? How is it that you were able to move furniture?
Yeah.
Did other senses develop more, cultivate more firmly?
I got lucky. I'm smart. I raised my daughter by myself from the time she was a newborn until she was almost 3 years old.
Wow.
So, I mean, if I was stupid, I'd be dead.
Well, but like, what are kind of the strategies you had to learn once you went blind? Because that must be, I can't imagine going completely blind. Overnight
they
kind of thing, right? Yeah. How would I cope? They
tried to set me up with trainers and stuff like that. I was like, no, go away. I'll do it my way, and I've done it my way ever since, and I've done really well. I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And I just decided to be weird. I guess that's kind of how I coped with it.
Do you have a seeing eye dog or anything like that? Any, I guess, measures to compensate?
No, I mean all the seeing eye dogs, at least until recently, were in the United States, and I can't cross the border. So.
Oh, really? I thought there was a Canadian Institution for the Blind. Well, here in Calgary.
Yeah, they didn't have the actual seeing eye dog training when I was ready to do it. Anyways, they wanted to send me to They wanted to send me to California, and they're like, "Well, you can't cross the border." I was like, "Yeah."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Didn't think the blind guy would have a criminal record, so. Proved you wrong there.
Says that you're basically the Canadian Daredevil. Sounds like it.
Yeah, works for me. The cops would probably agree.
Wait, I wanted to talk about, I'm going to share the screen here. Unfortunately, Tyler, you can't see it. This is from the New Statesman. This is Lori Penny. And she's of the opinion that the threat to free speech on campuses is a right-wing fantasy. And when you go through this, let's see, how many references does she make here? Zilch, not a reference here.
Why right-wing? I don't get it. I'm a social democrat. Like, I'm so far left. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, the right wingers like to claim that basically, if anyone disagrees with them, they're being, Randy explains it better. But basically, the right wingers feel that if there's any other opinion besides their own, they're being, what do you call it, Chris?
I think you're talking about the left and
The regressive
just
left.
essentially.
Well, the right wingers do too. The Christian right. They're
That's true. Yeah.
like both sides do it. It's just I think the person who penned this kind of forgot about the regressive left.
Yeah, I would say that they've had in the past we've had the, I guess, validated assumption that people on the right were the ones that were, doubling down and trying to, I guess, limit free speech, but it's become very pervasive on the left over, I'd say, at least the past decade, right?
Yeah, they both do it, and that's what I find so ironic and kind of hilarious about the whole thing is they're both trying to shut each other up.
Yeah, and it's interesting that people on the moderate right are sort of, they seem to be more open-minded to debate and discussion and that kind of thing than people on that particular spectrum of the left. And that particular spectrum of the left would, regard us all as, I don't know, freaking Nazis or blah, 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 right? White supremacists. They just toss these words around like they mean nothing.
Yeah.
And I are we all social democrats here? Because,
I am. I mean, I'm Alberta
Bernie
Party,
Sanders.
but only because they are progressive.
Yeah, like when I think about, the U.S. context, Bernie Sanders almost encapsulates what it means to be a Canadian.
Yeah, social democrat, not a socialist. Those wackaloons in the States mix up socialists with social democrat. And then they think the social democrats are communist, which is so completely out there.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
To equate social democracy to communism?
Yeah.
They're not even trying to learn.
I think we should just call it like fanatic politically correct, because progressive left totally threw me off. There's people on the right and the left who are both overly politically correct.
Yeah.
But the term regressive comes from Majid Nawaz. I know I mispronounce his name all the time. And what he's saying is basically that the left has thrown, ex-Muslims, reformist Muslims, and that kind of thing under the bus. That's the element that particularly annoys me, is the ones who are apologists for religion, for that particular religion specifically.
Yeah.
And
the Islamophobia. The Islamophobia thing, no, I know. And I always see posts and people are like, why are atheists so quick to defend Islam? I'm like, I'm so not. Like,
wait.
We just share being an atheist, and that's about it. We can disagree on everything else.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you look up Majid Nawaz and the regressive left, he's the person that coined that term. And that's actually, I really respect him, and I often reference that article. So that people, if I call them regressive, I'm not just, you're being silly about, I don't know, man spreading on the bus or whatever. Like, there's a more sinister political element to this that has a global impact. Like, a lot of North Americans and people in Western societies are very quick to do religious apologetics in the name of Islam. And like, why is it that Linda Sosa, or whatever her name is, why do people listen to her and not Ayaan Hirsi Ali? That's insane. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
And we know people who think that she's a shill of the right wing.
Yeah, the right wing, and I know, it's crazy. Oh, and the SPLC deemed her extremist, along with Majid. Crazy.
I make fun of everybody. I don't care.
Yeah, I think this encapsulates Lori Penny's whole article. She says, no platforming is just another word for student protest. The practice of opposing invited speakers with bigoted views is a time-honored one. The cooked-up row over student censorship is led by the sort of trembly whiskered outrage merchants for whom censorship means making me feel bad about holding certain views.
Yeah, or making me feel bad about, garbage cans being overturned and fires being set and bombs and people getting beat up and, And
Yeah.
and people blowing horns when in the middle of a speaker's
Yeah, it's the heckler's
sit
veto.
down. Oh, okay. I'm going to say it.
That's not
Sit
protest.
down. I'm going to say it. Shut up. Sit down to the Q&A, and then attack. Use your words. Don't. Ugh. It's like 3-year-olds. Use your words. You have to teach them not to freak out.
Yeah, I get mad when these people do shut up, and these people are trying to shut them up. I'm like, no, don't run away. Come back here.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna argue with you.
Yes, but the reality is, like, I would love to go, attend a speech put on by, I don't know, Milo or whatever the hell, right? Just because I think it'd be an interesting shit show, and I'd love to be, a participant in the Q&A. But if you even get, like, seen going into such a venue, you're totally putting your life at risk, it would seem, in certain circumstances.
You know what?
I think people are just lazy. Like, they're lazy. They disagree with these people, but they don't have the confidence to stand up and actually debate them, so they rather shut them up.
Yeah. Well, when we talk
I
about,
agree with that.
logical fallacies, ad hominems, whether they're verbal, I guess, or physical, are just an admission that you've lost the argument.
Yeah, I find the most telling thing about this article is there's no comment section.
Okay. And there's no need to lose that argument either, because it's an easy one to you. You don't have to resort to violence to refute a freaking Nazi. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, I don't believe that the heckler's veto is valid protest.
Yeah.
It's not. That's not valid protest. That's disruptive, and you're creating a disturbance. That's a crime.
Well, but when these people, like, even if it's like white power people or something, when they show up and do a speech, people who are against it, they go complain, and then it makes it look like their audience is a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the controversy attracts people.
This was a boycott, right? Like, boycotting works.
Yeah.
Well, it's not saying anything works even better. If you create it's like that movie, the Last Temptation of Christ. I never saw it, but it did extremely well because of the attempts at boycotting.
Yeah, I saw it because of the controversy, and I was so disgusted. Yeah.
I think we just need more people to challenge these people to a public or recorded debate. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't seen that out. I haven't seen that out here with all these anti-transgender parents that are freaking out because they're teaching the kids that transgender exists, and they're losing it, saying it's a choice and all this stuff, and nobody said anything yet. So I'm going to say something and see where that goes. But I mean, they can turn me down, obviously, but at least I can be loud about it and be like, well, I've challenged them and they don't want to do it. So
remember that woman that did that silly rap song about not teaching whatever in the schools? Probably a couple of years ago. I mean, she just got mocked all to hell. It was a bigoted anti. I think she was challenging SGAs, student gay alliances, or sorry.
Oh, gay straight alliances, GSAs.
Yeah, GSAs. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, and she put out this ridiculous rap song that actually had really good production value, but she was just so silly. Like this. Oh my God, she couldn't have been. Excuse the stereotype, but she just couldn't have been whiter and try to rap and like and she just got mocked. Like that video went viral and she absolutely got mocked. You guys don't remember this? I'm sure we talked about it on the podcast.
I do remember that.
Okay.
I couldn't listen to it though. I could just watch it. I couldn't listen to her words.
Oh, I laughed my ass off because it's like, oh, come on, you're stupid, right? Like I think that people that, for the most part, yeah, there's kind of that mouthy element or whatever, but most of us just think it's ridiculous. People like that are ridiculous. We just mock them.
Well, that's the reason that I started my show. Like, I was doing Left at the Valley, which is an interview show, you know what I mean? Which is good. But I like to argue, so I want to get anti-vaxxers on and the anti-gay people and anti-transgender people, and so many people are like, why do you want to do that? I'm like, because they need to be called out on their bullshit.
Well, if you're drunk every time, I gotta try that.
Yeah, it works pretty well.
I have a hard time dealing with it when I'm sober.
You know. I don't know. I might resort to things like using bad language, shall we say, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm really nice. I'm really nice to them, like even when we disagree, because that's just how it works. If you're gonna offend people, then you're less likely to change their minds, right?
Well,
or engage them at all.
I think there's just different strategies that work on some people and not others, and you know, some people need to be coaxed nicely, and some people need that cognitive slap upside the head.
I'm more interested in teaching people who are watching or listening the arguments to use, because that's how I learned, by watching some debates, you know, the atheist experience, that kind of thing. I just want to do it with the other topics.
Yeah.
And those.
I'm sorry, I'm opening up the phone lines. You can call toll free at 1-587-288-1067, or you can Skype Legion of Reason, all one word. So
you actually have a phone number, aren't you, styling?
Yeah, we actually have a phone number. And yeah, it works. We tested it out last week.
I'm just getting drunk in my car with like a bunch of cell phones all wired together.
Lucy says that you're seeing my dog. And she also says people have gotten so out of control and hypersensitive. The way to better things is to educate them, not to silence them. That's like treating a symptom in a way that worsens the problem. You don't cut off your hand because you've gotten a paper cut. I'd never heard of Milo until they tried to shut him up. Then I went and listened to what he had to say. Their method backfires. She's totally right.
Yeah, totally.
Daddy! Who's calling Daddy?
Even Lori Penny recognizes that, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you shut these people up, then you can't make them look stupid.
No.
But no platform.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the heckler's veto. Well, that's criminal.
And they go underground, and then they formulate little, groups that get bigger and bigger on Facebook. Whereas if they spewed that shit in public, people would just laugh at them right then and there, and they wouldn't, hopefully they'd learn. I mean, there have been Nazis that have completely changed over. There's just a guy who came out as Jewish and gay, and he denounced the Nazi thing that he'd been a part of for a year, neo-Nazi thing. He'd been involved in for 40 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Trying to suppress some part of himself. He was probably blaming something on how he really was and was trying to suppress it, and then he finally gave up.
Yeah, or I think there's obviously an element of LGBTQ and the neo-Nazi movement, and of course most of them hate that group. So he actually himself got targeted, and that's until it, I guess, affects you personally. Some people just don't have the capacity to put themselves in other people's shoes, I suppose.
No empathy.
Yeah,
there's that famous saying, they came for the Jews and I didn't do anything, and then they came for the blacks and I didn't do anything, and they came for the socialists and I didn't do anything, and then they came for me and there was nobody to help me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, they're coming for white men now. And it's we're the pariahs.
White privileged men, you.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, we're all evil just because of it. So like that got people who are saying that I'm racist simply because I'm white, and people who aren't white can't be racist. I was just like, oh, okay.
Politics of the worst sort.
I get the theoretical, impetus behind that. But I guess basically what they're saying is that if you're a part of the dominant group within whatever society, not just North American society, then it's I don't agree with it, but if you can't be racist toward the marginalized groups that you've already oppressed for generations or millennia before, kind of thing, right? That makes sense. But
unless you actually think they're inferior, like I've known some people who are like, black people were the first people 70,000 years ago, so we're God's chosen people, and white people are like some weird disease or something. I mean, that's racism because you think they're inferior.
Yeah, totally.
That's basically
what they don't seem to understand the most. Like, I was talking to my gay hairdresser about this and how he's like this white privileged male, but he's gay, but he was on his own as a teenager, and I had all those same buts. I'm like, I might be white, but I don't have any other privilege. So to say that somebody like me who is actually, whenever I do this privilege test, is in the negatives, can't possibly understand their position when you can get a black guy with more privilege than me because his parents were together and his education was paid for and all this other stuff. You don't know my gay hairdresser is gay just looking at him and seeing that he's white. You don't know anything about anyone looking at them. So all these people that are making these big moves saying, oh, white privilege. No, like you could be black and have more privilege than me. I'm sorry, you can.
Yeah, I call it the astrology. It's you were born female, white, and therefore you have X, Y, Z privileges and some oppression because you're born a woman. This says absolutely nothing about you. It just, and yet they claim to know your whole life history. It's just
by
insane.
Looking at you.
Yeah, and the demographics.
And I look young too, which doesn't even help.
Well, I'm pretty sure statistics show that better looking people get treated better, and I am dead sexy. So why don't people get mad at me? Why don't people get mad at me and say, you know what, you have sexy privilege? I'm like, all right, okay.
Sex
I know.
privilege.
Yeah.
People want to play the victim card. They want to be victimized. They don't value empowerment anymore. It's victimhood that gets valued, and that is the evil that social justice is pervading.
And how am I supposed to use my white privilege to help you if you think I'm the enemy?
Well, that's why we need more shows like this. Like I was saying, the atheist experience is great for that one topic, but we need more where we can actually get, you know, dialogue going with people, right? Which is why I wanted to do the show to begin with, right? Because
cool.
I don't know what else to do. I mean, I was reading some stuff, getting ready for this, and seeing that, you know, students were trying to cancel newspapers for printing stuff they didn't like, and obviously canceling speeches and all those different things, trying to shut them up instead of arguing against it. Maybe we just need to educate people on how to argue against it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if every time they
I didn't even know how to argue half the time.
Well, if every time they do a speech, somebody challenges them to a debate and just kicks their ass, they might think twice about standing up there and talking again. It's not fun to get humiliated in a debate.
Anyway, let's move on to a more fun topic. This is from in, I guess, somewhere in the UK. A date with disaster. Mystic, who predicted Donald Trump's presidency, claims World War III is about to start and says he knows the exact date. Okay. This is self-proclaimed messenger of God, Horatio Villegas. And he warns that nuclear warfare will erupt later this year. Now, this was actually an article from August, but the World War III is supposed to begin sometime between March and tomorrow. So it's the 100th anniversary.
Wait, the time's up tomorrow?
The time's up tomorrow.
Oh, well, that was a dumb prediction. You can tell Trump's itching to, you know, set all this off, but it's going to take a little more time.
I think the world was supposed to end twice already this year, according to some religious fanatics.
Always in peril, you know. I think it must be because of all the superheroes that saved the day or something. I don't know. Marvel people.
Now you should look at that. Look at the book, 88 Reasons Why the World Will End in the Year 1988. And he actually had 88 reasons. I mean, obviously it didn't come true. It was past 1988.
Was it all numerology from the Bible?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much par for the course.
Just because you can come up with a bunch of dumb reasons. I want these people to give me all their stuff the day before.
Yeah, I keep saying, yeah, I want. There was a website that when the rapture happened, it would automatically send out an email to all the people left behind, and saying we're bye-bye, and of course that would be the time to start the party.
Yeah, I wanted to get people-shaped.
Oh, did we lose him? Did we lose you?
Yeah, I see something funny there.
Turn your mic off. I think you'd accidentally turned your mic off.
Tyler?
There we go.
Yeah, I had a phone call.
Oh,
whoops.
So it's supposed to be a sixth and final visit was said to be on October 13th. So I guess, actually, it's already over. So it was so October 13th, we're still around. Or,
Yeah.
October 13th.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think we should all come up with dates because, duh, it's not going to happen until.
Yeah, after I die, so I can't be proven wrong.
It's kind of
Yeah, but it's got to be Trump caused.
It's kind of no win, right? I mean, if he's right, we're all gone. But if he's wrong, we're all here to laugh at him. Why would you make such a prediction? That doesn't make sense. Make a prediction that the opposite, or you always win. Right? This guy doesn't know how to play the game.
Do you guys ever have people on the show to debate, like that disagree, like invite people on as a challenge kind of thing?
Well, we got one coming up.
What about that? Yeah, when's that anti-abortion lady coming on?
We have to reschedule because of a death in her family. So we'll get back to that. I don't want to have her on so soon after that.
Yeah.
So.
Now I'm hoping to find some of those out here too. So.
Yeah, she's actually an atheist and she's pro-life.
Yeah, you do see that some of the time. You guys know who Larry Dye, the creationist guy, is?
No.
He's from Alberta, and he recently turned my mother into a young Earth creationist because my mom lives in Swift Current.
Speedy Creek.
I just returned. Who were you talking about?
Larry Dye, the creationist guy from Alberta.
Ha! No, I've never heard of him either.
Did it Bill Nye the Science Guy?
Yeah, total rip-off. And he's got no science background whatsoever. I'm going to try to get him to come on the show, so we'll see if they accept or not. I tried getting my mom's minister to come on. He said no, so.
Huh.
Damn it. I wish I could force these people to debate me instead of forcing them to shut up.
I want to go back to this topic of Lori Penny, the threat to free speech, because I wanted to talk about some of the statistics that totally turn her argument on its head. And one of them is that there is an increase, at least in America, of students that are willing to support violence against speech that they don't like, that they consider to be hate speech. And whoops, wrong one. Stop sharing that. I'm going to put the stats up on the screen here. I'll just read them out. Okay. Where was it? Student group opposed to the speaker disrupts the speech by loudly and repeatedly shouting so that the audience, and basically the heckler's veto. Do you agree or disagree with that the students group's actions were acceptable? And it's about 50-50 that support the use of the heckler's veto.
That's pretty weird. That sounds scary.
And let's see, a student group opposed to the speaker uses violence to prevent the speaker from speaking. Do you agree or disagree that groups' actions are acceptable? And it was about 20% agree with this. So I would actually say that there is a real threat to free speech on campus.
Yeah. I've framed this in the manner of regarding it as secular blasphemy laws, and then trying to point out how important it is that we deal with blasphemy laws elsewhere in the world. So why are we trying to impose them here in the Western world when they serve as a justification for those who have them on the books that enact them in really, really evil ways? What are we doing? What the hell are we doing?
That's because you're an Islamophobe.
Yeah, they just don't see that it goes. Yeah, they just don't see that it goes both ways. They just don't see it. I just can't register it in their brain that it has to go both ways.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's amazing sometimes in the States where they pass these laws. They're like, holy crap! We didn't mean for it to do that. when putting up monuments at a courthouse. Well, all religions can do this, right? Like all of a sudden, an atheist group tries to do it. Oh no, you can't do that. Well, actually, the Constitution says they can.
Like here in Canada, there was a feminist scholar. I'm sure, Catherine McKinnon, and she was anti-porn, and so she was American, but she influenced Canadian legislation anti-porn. And so as it turned out, that legislation actually prevented some feminist works that she agreed with from, being able to enter Canada. Those books were banned on the basis of this porn law that she helped to enact.
Yep.
That's awesome. I mean, it's hypocrisy. Like you were just saying about the blasphemy laws, like we can't say anything, bad about religion. Okay, fine, but then you can't say anything good about religion.
Yeah.
Gotta go both ways. You can't say anything bad about atheists, and they're like, oh wow, okay, no, we can, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't intend for the law to work that way. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Of course you didn't.
I don't know what you can do though. I don't know what you can do about it. I mean, I didn't know any of this stuff, and then as soon as I heard the arguments, I'm like, well, of course it has to go both ways. That's just stupid. Like,
I guess we just need to keep asserting ourselves, and try and uncouple this connection that people seem to have made between right wingers denying free speech, and if you support free speech, that somehow you're on the right end of the spectrum. Well, that's simply not true. We have to abolish that misconception. That's ridiculous.
all I can do is just call these people out and try to debate them if I can. And then maybe people will get it into their heads that that's the best way to do it, is to make them look stupid instead of making yourself look like an ass.
Yeah, every one of us, can stand up to that kind of thing.
Oh, I used to think that too. I used to think that, like with the whole Martin Luther King thing and him being all peaceful, I'm like, that's just stupid. And then I realized, well, if they're violent, then they'll be violent back, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. But if you're not being violent, and the other group is, then they murdered you. Like, they have pity for you. Instead of having you both be assholes, which is kind of where we're stuck at right now.
Everybody's an asshole.
Yeah, well, like the racists and whoever else, they're a bunch of assholes. But the people who won't debate them and just want them to shut up, they're assholes too.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Anyway, let's move on to Quebec. I think this is a really good launching point.
Quebec? What country is that in?
Quebec. Yeah.
Heard of that place before.
What is this Montreal you speak of? Quebec set to pass law banning face coverings for anyone receiving public service. That includes things like getting a bus ride. So they've added some stuff to Bill 62 from. They've changed it from the Parti Québécois, the law that they were trying to pass. That one was all about religious symbols. Now this is the Liberal government has taken over. And this is a requirement for your face to be uncovered if you're receiving any public service whatsoever, no matter what level of government. That includes, like I said, bus rides. So you have to be uncovered to get on a bus. And this is seen, of course, by... I hate this. This is where we go again, where I have to actually defend the right of people to do something that I really would rather they didn't do. And that is wear niqab or burqa or whatever, instead of saying, look, we should be convincing people not to wear it, as opposed to dictating that they do not wear it.
Yeah, they kind of have to come onto it their own, right? If you force them, then it's just not going to last.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Actually, I don't know if I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't have a problem with the concept of obviously not covering your face when you walk into a business. If I owned a liquor store or, like small, I don't know, corner store or something like that, yeah, I don't want somebody coming in there with a ski mask, right? Or, I just don't. So I think within that realm, I think it's fair to be able to ask people to remove like their Halloween masks or their, like ski, whatever those things are called with, that people wear in winter that just have the eyes out of them, right? It's fair to be able to remove that. Or, like usually if I get onto a bus or into a store or something like that, I start taking my scarf off because, I do hide when it's 30 below and, I've got like one eye peeking out and I'm completely invisible pretty much, well, not invisible, but nobody can tell who I am. And I don't think that's unreasonable for, like, could you please take off your scarf and expose your face? It just seems like that, you just do that when you get in a warm area anyway. So I don't know.
Well, and when you're buying cigarettes and alcohol, don't you have to show proof of age? And if you can't see your face,
Yeah, that's true. Although I'm guessing that if you're buying cigarettes and alcohol, you're a bad Muslim to begin with.
Oh, yeah, probably. Sorry.
You're
Yeah, they
modest.
probably don't buy those things.
We'll have to see what happens if I dress up in a burqa and go to the liquor store this Halloween.
Oh,
That
I
would be an
wonder how
interesting
many people are gonna do
experiment.
that. I wonder how many people are going to do that in Quebec for Halloween this year. It'd be so it's probably not going to come in effect until June of next year.
Well, and I don't
the
understand why they had to put buses and everything in there too. I don't really get that because you should be able to wear a ski mask on a bus too.
especially if you're going skiing.
Yeah, well,
or
or
you're
if
in
it's like
Saskatchewan and
40,
it's cold.
Yeah,
freaking cold, man.
yeah.
But it's a dry cold.
I'm very, very left-wing politically, but I don't really like the idea of forcing people to do a lot of things. I mean, unless it's absolutely necessary. But I don't care if I'm sitting on the bus and somebody gets on and they have a ski mask or whatever. It's the least of my worries.
Unless they're holding a
Well,
gun, but
I don't think it's on, like if you just, expose your face or some portion of your face where you're identifiable, and then you can put it back on, that's fine. Like, once you're on the bus, I'm quite sure that, I'm the thing that I think bothers me the most is who do you punish and what effect does it have on them? Because the women who are wearing these garments are not necessarily are doing so willingly, right? So
not always.
Or
that's
they
my
are and they
biggest
don't know any
issue.
different, right? So
Yeah. So why penalize them when it might be other, their guardians or whatever the hell that are imposing this on them?
Yeah.
That
Well,
bothers me.
I was watching a video the other day about this woman in a niqab was saying how feminist and good to women Islam is, and I'm like, did you not understand the complete disconnect between what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing? But
They don't seem to understand what choice is. In their culture, they don't have a choice yet. They're saying they do.
Yeah, it's Stockholm syndrome.
Well, we're protecting you, right? So
maybe we should call it Baghdad syndrome or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something a little different. But the Parti Québécois and the Coalition Avenir Québec, the opposition parties, they actually argue that this bill does not go far enough.
Where the heck else are they going to do?
Punchline. That's the punchline.
I don't know. Maybe encourage them. Like I think it was Algeria where some of the Muslim women are starting to wear bikinis, kind of on their own. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Encourage the idea, but don't force
Iran.
them. It's probably the best idea.
Back in the 70s in Iran and Afghanistan, we had women wandering around with miniskirts. Just like they were in the U.S.
Yeah,
and was it the
70? I think. Yeah.
Was it the president or prime minister? I can't remember which country that just laughed at the idea of forcing women to cover.
Oh, was it? No, it wasn't Erdogan, was it?
No. I can't remember, but like back in the 70s or 60s when this was, women should cover, and the president just like laughed.
Oh, that was
probably in Iran, I believe.
Well, I would have been.
Well, weren't women in the United States pretty damn covered in like 1900? Like bathing suits and all that, right?
But it worries me all of this. What it amounts to cultural appropriation, with modesty fashion, right? And I really quite worry about that because it's kind of like the wedge that organizations like the Committee on American Islam Care
relations,
that's the kind of thing that they're trying to do to introduce Islam to America.
Yeah, exactly. And we see this embodied in Linda Sarsour.
Yeah, Linda Sarsour. I'd like to see her take her veil off in support of women who don't have the choice.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have no respect for that woman whatsoever.
I mean,
I
think she's downright sinister.
That's what we need to do, is be like, hey, you know what? If you guys want to wear it, then fine. But we're going to stand here, and if some of you decide not to wear it, and some of the men start beating on you, we're going to kick their asses. I mean, metaphorically,
Or put him in
speaking.
jail.
Yeah, metaphorically speaking, of course. But I mean, in some of those countries, women get murdered for that.
Yeah.
So if the women have the backing, if they know, well, we can choose, and if these people are trying to kill us or whatever the consequences, we've got backup. I mean, that's really all we can do without coming across as like tyrants of saying you absolutely can't wear this.
Kind of, but the people that give those, women backup would be just as subject to violence as those women themselves.
Yeah, but we do go in and like obviously like we had a 16-year-old girl, I think it was in maybe was it Toronto several years ago. She wouldn't wear it. Her dad killed her.
Okay. No, I thought you were talking about elsewhere. No,
Yeah.
Oh no,
even then,
even then, I don't think we should be sitting by while girls are getting murdered for not wearing some clothing. I mean,
well, I agree with you, but I do think that those men are at risk because there are lots of men in those societies that just think everything is fucked up because they have sisters and mothers and female relatives.
I'm talking about us. I'm talking about Canada and the United States and Europe, and I mean we've got soldiers over there, right? So
yeah, it's true. And biker gangs and all kinds of, like I don't mean like gangs kind of thing, but what is it? There's like I think like a bunch of bikers that get together on behalf of LGBTQ kids, and if they're getting bullied, they come in mass and walk the kids to school and stuff like that, right? What's that?
Huh.
Yeah.
That's putting the Hells Angels to a good use.
Oh, yeah.
Shall I catch us up on the chat?
What's that?
What?
Sure.
I'm going to catch us up on the chat here. Okay, so Lucy says, you do have sexy privilege. I totally do have the things I do for him because I like looking at him. LOL, shallow, I know. Well, nice. I like it. Okay, so then we have another guest, BOHICA Drop Short. Love the show. I feel a bit down for not knowing the Legion of Reason is on YouTube. That's because it's something fairly recent. I'm glad that there's Canadian shows like the both of yours that help me not feel alone. That's awesome. Also, that person says, too bad INR is no longer in BC and having or had difficulties with SJWs. Well, it's true. Although it's now in Ontario, right? They've merged with the...
they moved to Toronto.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Bill Liggett had a lot of problems in Vancouver because of SJWs.
Yeah.
So did he team up with Spencer Lucas instead?
Yes.
In Ontario?
Yeah, the non-conference.
That's a good merger.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just it's too far for me to go.
Yeah. Vancouver's a nice, or BC is a drive, a lovely drive.
Yeah,
but
drive. Well, it was a camp. It was definitely a drive. I mean,
that's true. But I'd rather drive it than fly. It's just so nice, the mountains and
having your car.
Winery.
Yeah.
I know.
Having said that,
wineries. It's mountains are just gonna speed through here and get to the wineries.
Having said that, I drove the last time that INR was in Kamloops. I drove out, and usually what I do is I like to drive overnight, so I leave at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then by the time I see the sunlight and stuff like that. But this particular time I left in the afternoon and got caught in a rainstorm on the Coca-Cola. I was freaking terrified. All I could do is get myself behind a giant semi and just, follow them. And they were going like 140. And I'm just like, I have to go the same speed as them or I'm going to be fucked. So it's terrifying. Yeah. By the time I got to the whatever truck stop that the guy stopped at and I followed him in, I was just like literally shaking. It was terrifying. I couldn't see a bloody thing.
All right, let's go on to this one. From the Independent. Islamic faith schools segregation of boys and girls ruled unlawful sex discrimination by a court of appeals. And this is for our friends across the pond. It was a high court ruling last year found that school inspectors were wrong to penalize this school on the basis of a quote, an erroneous view that segregation amounted to unlawful discrimination, but the Court of Appeals unanimously overturned this. So it's basically a state-funded school, And this also, the segregation thing, this ruling applies also to other schools like Orthodox Jewish schools, which are very much segregated, and some Christian faith schools. And the problem I have with this decision is, how does that relate to schools for boys and schools for girls? Because isn't that segregated?
Well, it's
Yeah.
different buildings, so
Not like
Is it-
different side of the class or something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this school even had the boys and girls going down different hallways.
Yeah.
yeah.
Into contact, right?
Can you imagine the logistics?
Well, nope, because this thing would never occur to me. That's why.
I guess you can't segregate them if there aren't any, though, right? Like if you go to an all-boys school or an all-girls school. I mean, I understand what you mean by it being segregated, but it's not, because they're not there to be segregated. If you
Yeah,
have that option instead
no,
of being
it's
split.
just kind of fuzzy. It's just kind of fuzzy, I find it. But they were actually teaching the girls differently from the boys.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was definitely discriminatory, no question about that.
If they took the girls away from me in school, I'd have been pissed.
No kidding.
That's why I went to school.
That's haram. That's haram. No, you don't get to do that.
What kind of guy comes up with that rule? Okay, we're going to take the women away. What? No.
Islam is pretty gay, isn't it? Yeah, the story, no.
And make them cover up. I don't get that either. Like, I mean, I kind of do, because they're, worried about them adultery and that sort of thing. But if I had a dress code for women, sure wouldn't be covered head to toe, especially in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they
Bikinis for everybody.
the win for anti-segregation forces, I guess. What else we got today? I gotta talk about. I couldn't believe this headline. I just included it a few hours ago. I thought it was just, you can't make this crap up, but actually, yeah, you can. Apparently.
Can I interrupt for just a moment here?
Yeah.
Your voice quality on my end is increasingly degrading, and I'm wondering if we need to start up this call again. Like Twyla and Tyler, are you finding that too?
You know what? I hear it too.
Crackling, yeah, increasingly so. So let's maybe start up again.
I can't do that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can't do that. Once it stops, it's it. It's over.
Okay.
On my end, it's very good.
Yeah, no, it's really crackly. We're losing you increasingly.
It's very crackly.
Whatever,
Yeah.
I can make it out.
Okay.
So Pope Francis says putting God first doesn't mean avoiding reality. They have no idea, no self-awareness of just how that sounds to an atheist. But I guess they don't care.
Having an imaginary friend doesn't mean detaching yourself from reality.
Yeah, not at all.
Well, to them, that is reality. So I guess from their logic.
Yeah. Well, but isn't he kind of admitting that it isn't reality? I mean,
There is some question there.
yeah, it kind of is. It's a kind of a Freudian slip, sort of. Yeah, so he was basically just talking. For some reason, he was talking about the story of give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and give unto God what is God's. And this was, the whole Pharisees thing. And I have no idea what the hell that has to do with reality. Doesn't make any sense to me. But then again, Catholicism never made any sense to me, so.
No.
It's like weird.
But at least he's okay with evolution and the Big Bang.
Okay, it's not doctrinal, but he's not okay with, well, at least John Paul II was not okay with human evolution.
Yeah. No,
And so
they're like, Big Bang, good. Evolution, good. Gay people and birth control, still bad.
Yeah. Safe sex and like in places that are 25% HIV infected populations. That just makes no sense to me. But anyway, I just thought that I threw that in there just because I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, that is pretty funny when they say things that they don't realize were
They
completely
don't
ridiculous.
understand they're not aware of it. Don't forget, people, you can call at what the heck's the phone number again? 1-587-288-1067 or Skype Legion of Reason, all one word. The last item I have is the flu virus is coming again, and tomorrow is the first day for public flu clinics, and you can get your free flu shot. And get the shot, don't get the nasal thing. It's not as effective. Apparently, it's going to be a fairly nasty one, as it was in Australia. And they take a look at the southern hemisphere to create the cocktail for the upcoming season for us. And I assume they do vice versa. They take a look at what happened up here, and then they create the cocktail for the southern hemisphere.
They are saying it is a good match this year.
They think it's a good match, but we won't know.
We won't know if it mutates by the time it gets to us.
Yeah. So we'll know. And they only have enough vaccine to cover 35% of the population.
But that meets the demand.
Yeah, it actually more than meets the demand. Last year it was only 27%.
Yeah.
Got vaccinated. So we need more people getting vaccinated.
Yeah, it'd be nice. But they're also coming up with a universal vaccine where you get one shot and it covers all the strains for the rest of your entire life.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be nice to see.
But how do we know what strains are going to emerge?
That's the thing. This one flu vaccine, the way they make it, it matches a certain part of the flu that doesn't mutate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so
it'll cover everything for life that is anything related to influenza.
Yeah.
And it's taking a while because it's complicated.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in France now that they've implemented the mandatory 11 vaccines.
Oh, I'd like to see that here.
Me too.
It's not a freedom to
endanger other people.
Yeah, it's a social obligation.
No, we'll get an island and we'll call it the anti-vaxxer island. We'll put them all on there and we'll videotape it like Survivor.
There is one. It's called Vashon Island. It's in California.
Wow.
Yeah.
They have had outbreaks of measles there like crazy.
I bet. Oh,
good experiment,
terrible.
Just send them a little polio package.
They would actually put polio parties together. They would, because they say polio is natural to gut flora. They think polio is like bacteria or fungus or something. They think it's part of your natural thriving, what they call gut flora.
How do they even manage to put together these parties? Like, we had fairly well eradicated polio, so like they'd
love to do it if they could find someone with polio in their little.
Because I've certainly heard of these chicken pox parties, right?
Oh yeah, they do that. They were sending chicken pox infested, or trying to. They would get a kid to lick a lollipop and they'd send it to a parent.
Mm-hmm. No, I've heard of pox parties.
That is a federal crime, by the way.
Yep.
That is sending a substance through the mail. That's a federal crime in the U.S.
Yeah, but they'll get I know people that do that around here. They get all their kids together and have pox parties.
Yeah, that's so bizarre, hey?
Why not?
And shingles. They don't understand the difference between bacteria and a virus, and they don't want to hear it.
And there's an immunization against chickenpox now. It's not like, back in the day when, you were pretty much inevitably going to get chickenpox if it went around to school.
And therefore shingles.
Yeah.
I've had
now, when I'm 65, I'm getting that shingles vaccine. I have asthma, so if I get that flu, this is why I wish everybody would get the flu shot, is to help protect people like me. If I get it, I have a high likelihood of dying because it's respiratory.
Well, I certainly intend to get my shot as soon as possible. But there have been times where I couldn't get it because I had the freaking flu. That sounds a trick.
Oh yeah,
I flu shot, but I'm too sick.
I just realized I can't get my flu shot for another couple of weeks. I had a cortisone injection into my elbow, and that nullifies the effects of flu virus or flu vaccine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What are you, a chemist or
You're going to
something?
get protected until you finally get it, because if only 25% of people get it, there's 75% of people wandering around spreading it around.
Yeah.
I was told by the technician there, darn, you can't get your flu vaccine for a couple of months.
Probably
They do it.
render it less effective if you don't wait.
Yep, exactly. So I'm going to wait for the full 3 weeks. I guess I got 2 weeks to go. That cortisone shot sure did the trick. My elbow was fun. Amazing stuff.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And they actually guided it using sensors to the spot. Yeah, we had something really weird happen tonight. The house, we don't have a back lane. It's just a fence between the house behind us and ours. And the police came by and they said, we're just we're watching the house behind us. They didn't tell us why.
Wow.
And I'm like, huh. Good. So it can't be. I don't know why they were watching it. They just were making us aware that they were around, so don't call the cops on the cops. I still don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask the guy. I thought, well, it can't be that they were burglarized because, well, they would have canvassed us and say, "Did you notice anything?" Or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, maybe something
Yeah, it's strange.
going on. It's a grow up. You got to grow up, by.
Yeah.
Have we lost Tyler? I think he tried to say
Nope.
something, and we.
No,
Okay.
no, I just made some corny joke, and he was talking about the cortisone. I was going to say, what are you, a chemist?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I didn't know that, actually. That's something that I had to be told, and it's a good thing they told me, because I would have gone right away. I know the flu clinics have been going on in the hospital and in the health system for a little while now.
Okay, because I think for the public it starts tomorrow. Because I actually asked about it today.
For frontline, I know that they're already have. I've had emails from work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So.
But tomorrow, if you can do it, get it.
Yep. Pharmacies and clinics, and
they're free. Safeway does it. Shoppers does it. Sobeys, whatever,
Yep.
Superstore.
Yep. No excuse. No excuse unless
Yeah,
you're
right.
Especially the vulnerable populations like seniors and children and everything. Yeah.
You guys ever get any anti-vaxxers or anybody like that? When you're done with them, send them my way.
Be fun.
Hey, that's how I got my name, Feisty.
Yep. That wasn't an anti-vaxxer. That was a
homeopath
nurse. So many nurses won't get vaccinated.
How does she get called a nurse if she's a homeopath?
Oh, nurses believe all sorts of nonsense too. They're not immune from the alternative to medicine things. And yeah, that's all I got tonight. Nobody's calling in, so
see if there's any more messages.
Nope, no messages.
Just Lucy referred VOHICA drop short to your podcast, Tyler. So YouTube channel.
Yeah, we just do Facebook Live.
Yeah.
I need to listen to some of your debates. I get all cringy when there's all these crazy arguments, but at least then there's your words there to kind of. And for me, religion is difficult because where I live, I've got to be, I absolutely am super tolerant, and because in hopes of getting that tolerance back, but that's usually not the case. I keep hoping people treat me the way I treat them, and they just assume I'm intolerant, but I'm not. So I feel so stuck in the middle.
Yeah, we don't really do the whole. I mean, we have covered religion very briefly, but we try to avoid it as much as possible because it's been done to death.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of it. I'd rather argue other things like free will
evolution.
Wow.
But
there's no real argument there. But yeah, I do that one as well. But I like arguing with atheists. I like arguing with atheists about free will, and we'll have Richard Carrier on in November talking about objective morality versus subjective.
That's cool. But you know what? Like, I think we still need to keep talking about religion because the fact that it's boring to us, and you know, we're I don't know, been there, done that kind of thing. I think it's still important to talk about it because people are still converting or, you know, deconverting or whatever, right? And they need our support.
Yeah, people can bring up whatever they want.
Yeah.
I said we went from free will to quantum physics to GMOs in like 5 minutes.
What's your position on free will?
I think the concept itself is flawed. I agree with Professor Robert Sapolsky. I mean, we're the products of nature and nurture. You don't get to choose either. So the concept of itself is flawed. I mean, it depends on how you define free will.
Contra-causal.
I have the free will to leave the room if you don't tie me down. I mean, that's about as much as you're gonna get.
Yeah, I'd like to distinguish between choices and free will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with Sam Harris. Probably mostly would be the Robert Sapolsky vision as well.
So hard determinism?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, your brain does come from nature and nurture, right? I mean, your mom can do a bunch of drugs and alcohol while she's pregnant with you, and you're screwed, and you had no say in that. And people get brain tumors, and it turns them into pedophiles or murderers, and there's no free will in that.
Yeah.
There's lots of evidence against a contra-causal free will. There's no homunculus. There's no
yeah, exactly.
There's no ghost in the machine.
Yeah, it's the birth lottery. It's the birth lottery, right? It's the birth lottery.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to, yeah, exactly. It's genes and historical contingency, and in the battle of nature versus nurture, bet on nature.
Nice. I think they did those twin studies, and it's like roughly half and half kind of thing.
Yeah, separate twins separated at birth that grew up in different families, and they end up doing almost exactly the same things in their lives.
And I used to defend it hardcore, and I got destroyed in a debate publicly with one of my friends, and I've changed my position.
That's very noble. I think changing your position is the most noble things that people can do, and presented with better arguments.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I learn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's really well put, actually. I really like that.
And I try to be as loud about it as possible, because then people know that I'm very loud when I'm wrong. And
that's my fault.
So when we argue, they don't think I'm just gonna fight to the death, you know?
Yeah, or double down when presented with better evidence, or
yeah, and people respect you more for it too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll leave it there. Bunny says that she's not totally convinced of no free will. You know what the argument that convinced me was? It's very simple. If you believe the mind is a product of the physical brain must obey the laws of physics.
Yep.
And laws of physics are fully determined, therefore, determinism.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you know all the variables, I mean, people think there's quantum randomness. All that really means is we don't know everything.
Yeah, I don't understand what random consciousness means. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
I think I'd be more on the soft determinist side of things, in the sense that, we can make choices, but some choices aren't meaningful. Like if the choice is between you follow the religion or you die, that's not a, empowering choice, right?
Yeah, I don't believe in.
What shoes am I going to wear? That's a freaking everyday, nobody gives a rat's ass what shoes I wear kind of thing, right? Trivial choices.
That's the other topic is the hard problem of consciousness, which I don't believe in. That's another thing that just pisses off my fellow atheists. That, morals, free will. Those are more interesting, watching atheists argue with each other.
What was the what of consciousness?
The hard problem of consciousness?
I don't know if I'm familiar with that, or if I am. I haven't heard it in those terms. Can you explain it?
Well, just where it comes from and nobody can explain it and all this stuff. And it really just is a level of awareness that goes back like 600 million years. It just gets a little bit more complex and more complex over time. But they,
well, we study it more and more too. Like there are ways to stimulate certain, functions in the brain that make you, think you're seeing God and the
yeah,
God helmet and stuff like that, right? So
yeah. But
yeah.
they try to be like, oh, where is it? Okay, well, it's not in one place. It's the brain itself. And then
Yeah.
they do that with genes too. Like, where's the gay gene? Okay, that's not how genes work. It'd be genes. It'd be combinations of genes. It's not like one gene does something.
Yeah.
But that's highlights, right? So technically, I don't even really believe in consciousness. It's an illusion in a way. Like Daniel Dennett, Susan Blackmore, they explain it pretty well. It's just a level of, it's a survival mechanism to be aware of your environment and interact with your environment and survive.
Yeah.
It's not some magical thing, and people get all weird and quantum about it, and it's so stupid.
Oh yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, Deepak Chopra.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, Roger Penrose, even.
Yeah, him too. He's another
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
And
well,
he's actually a physicist, so.
Again, there's no. Well, I mean, Linus Pauling believed that vitamin C.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the cure-all. I mean, again, degrees and intelligence. I mean, Linus Pauling is a Nobel laureate in physics and, was it chemistry? I don't know. One of those two, and believed in vitamin C cured everything from cancer to the common cold. That's where we get that vitamin C thing for the common cold.
Yeah, I would say debunk yourself before somebody else does. So I always try to run everything by you guys and my friends, and then I know I'm less likely to be wrong.
Thank you, and we appreciate. I appreciate, the reciprocation too on my end because, learning something new and changing your mind, I think, is a wonderful, lovely thing.
It'd be really boring if I was right all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And not knowing stuff, I think there are just things that we just don't have the answers to. And a lot of people I think are frightened by that, but I'm not. I find that just, wow, we need to move on and learn more, and how fascinating it is every time we learn more, we develop more questions, right? Like that. I'm not afraid of that.
Yeah, that's something that I'm going to present at the at that thing on November 3rd in Saskatoon. I'm going to push that
It's
point.
exciting.
You should not be afraid of saying, I don't know.
Yeah, in fact, you should be thrilled to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's that Thomas Jefferson quote. It's better to say I don't know than it is to be wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing is, in my politicians, I want them to change their minds too if they find it necessary. People say that when a politician changes their mind, they're flip-flopping. No, they're not.
No, I know. I agree with that. Yeah.
They're just flipping. They're not flip-flopping. Flip-flopping is bad. I agree. If you keep constantly changing your mind, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, but like Obama about gay marriage and that kind of thing. Like, he changed his mind. That's not flip-flopping. That's growing.
That's how your mind changed. And we should. I mean, it's that George Bush was all stay the course. I mean, yeah, that's what the Titanic did. Congratulations.
Don't underestimate him.
I'm not impressed by George Bush when he did that. I think it was terrible.
Absolutely, yeah. Wasn't impressed by anything with him, but
staying the course. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to bogey. That's exactly what I was trying to intonate. That after the flipping cometh the flopping. Yeah, when that happens, yes, then somebody is changing their minds back and forward. That's vacillating, and that you do not ever want. Yeah,
like Trump speaks out both sides of his mouth. There are lots of politicians.
Trump is a compulsive liar. Let's face it. The guy makes up. Like, you want to talk about alternative facts? There you go. It's called made up shit. And that's Donald Trump in a nutshell.
I think there's a lot of compulsive liar, I think, would be the lesser symptom of narcissism. I think he's a narcissist.
No,
A power-hungry narcissist.
you don't say.
But not a good one, because like what his talent is charisma and salesmanship. Like he's a carny sideshow guy that managed to fucking get into the freaking presidency.
He was good at it.
Yeah, probably through money laundering and taking bribes.
Paying his bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I can't be a narcissist because I really am better than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. And, that great university, that great institution, Trump University. Yeah.
Oh, good God. Isn't that the only one Melania got a certain supposed degree from?
No.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's the only degree she has is from the institution.
Well, I'll certainly be hiring her.
Yeah.
What?
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for joining
And
us.
thanks for coming on, Tyler, and helping us deal with some of these topics du jour.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what you guys are normally doing earlier on Sundays. We've moved our show to kind of Sunday mornings my time to have people from Europe be able to partake because they were complaining about it. So.
Okay. What time is that? Your time?
It's usually like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning my time on Sundays because most of the people that watch are like at least 3 hours ahead of us.
Okay, so that'd be 8 or 9 our time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're not always that reliable. I'm like
10 or 11.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll do it when the hell I feel like it.
He's only going away. What the hell? He's one time zone.
I usually get people ahead of time, though.
In the chat room?
I find people who disagree on whatever the topic is ahead of time. And
okay. So what are they disagreeing with if the show hasn't started?
Yeah, we're debunking ghosts on Sunday, so I got a bunch of people who've already signed up to come on and argue with us.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to shut it down, and thanks for being on, Tyler, and we'll talk to you again.
Sounds good.
Oh, before you go, is there anything you want to promote or anything like that other than your podcast? I just wanted to make sure you get that chance.
Not that I can really think of. I mean, people can go to the group. So you think you're a skeptic if they want to argue with me and Kevin and whoever the hell else. It's very relaxed. It's maybe once they start paying me, then I'll show up on time.
Sounds fair.
All right, good.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's good night. It's a wrap. I think we're just gonna and just so good night, everybody.
That's the noise that's coming out of there is so funny, kind of. So
all the kids.
I don't know, staticky. Yeah, I just staticky, but I could hear stuff in the family stuff. In the That's okay. We're not saying anything bad about anybody. Sound quality.
Just the sound quality.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of funny.
Well, it's not even the sound quality. It's a degradation, probably because of the internet and that kind of thing. Hey.
Yeah. It sounds robotic.
And over time, it's degraded.
The iTunes version will be very good in terms of all.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna close this out with the closing. All right.
Good night, everybody.
You've been listening to the Legion of Reason Diversion coming to you from Alberta, Canada. If you enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing to our bi-weekly podcast on iTunes and other podcatchers. Even better, subscribe to our YouTube live sessions where you can join in on the discussion. Thanks for giving us a listen. Music and other sound effects under license from audioblocks.com.